So we'll look here at distance, speed, time, and often they use this thing known as DAD silly triangle. DAD, obviously the D stand for distance, the S stand for speed, and the T stand for time. Now it's like your mass density volume triangle or your monkey strength vodka triangle. Whatever quantity you're looking for, cover it up. So if I'm looking for distance, D stands for distance, cover it up, and you're left with S times T. So D is equal to S by T. If I'm looking for speed, cover it up, you're left with D over T. And if I'm looking for time or how long a journey took, cover up your T, and you're left with D over S. So I'll do this first example. Say a car travels 100 meters in 50 seconds. Calculate the speed of the car. Now this car is not motoring. You do that yourself, no bother. So find the speed. So again, which of these letters stands for speed? It's S. So cover up the S and you're left with D over T. So speed is equal to distance over time. Now what's your distance? Your distance is 100 meters. Your time is 50 seconds. So 100 divided by 50 is 2 meters over second. And that's where that term comes from, kilometers per hour. Kilometers stands for distance, hour stands for time. Miles per hour. Miles is distance, hour is your time. Per, that wee slash there means per. I'll do another one. So a train travels 240 kilometers at 80 kilometers an hour. Find the time. So find time. Which of these letters stands for time? It's T. So what are you left with? D over S. The units match up. We've got kilometers and kilometers. And find the time, we'll say in hours. So your distance here is 240 kilometers. Your speed is 80 kilometers per hour. You throw that in your calculator if you're unsure, you're left with 3, and the unit left over is hours. If they ask you that to minutes, change hours to minutes, just times it by 60. Another example, an athlete runs 25 seconds, or runs for 25 seconds. Now that obviously stands for time, so we have that, at a speed of 9 meters per second. Find the distance, or find how far. So find the distance. D stands for distance. What are you left with? S times T. So speed times time. Speed here is 9 meters per second. By your time, 25. 10 to 25 is 250. 1 less, 225. And find the distance, meters. Now they're all relatively straightforward. Gets a wee bit more difficult when the units don't really match up, and that is the case, say, in these. Well, firstly, we'll have a wee look at, there's an example here in your slides, page 28. If you don't have the slide, I'll just write down the information. A train travels 210 kilometers in 2.5 hours. Now even looking at that, there's my distance, it's kilometers, 2.5 hours, that's time, distance and time. They're obviously going to ask me for speed here. And then if I read on, find the average speed in kilometers per hour. So if I ask you for speed, cover the S, you're left with D over T. Distance is 210. Now it's easier if you put your time in 2.5, but just in case it's 2 1/3 or 2 3/7, I'll show you how to do it in your calculator, because these calculators can be fussy. So type it as you see, it's 210 over. Now you've got above the fraction button in this Casio calculator, press shift and fraction, so it's looking as your mixed fraction, 2, 1.5. And we get get 84. And speed in kilometers per hour, we're in kilometers and we're in hours. That's correct. Another way that a lot of students did it myself, you might write, oh yeah, that's a fraction, and then I'll throw a wee 2 in front of that, and you get 210. Because what they've actually done, even though it looks the exact same, 2 times a half is 1, 210 divided by 1 is 210, which is wrong. So you've got to press, type in your 210, move it down, the shift and the fraction button to get your mixed fraction form. Another one I see here is like number 3 on that slide. A man drives 80 kilometers in 40 minutes. But here they've asked you for the speed in kilometers per hour. Now we're in minutes. But I would tee it up the same. They've asked me for speed. Speed is distance over time. Move this over slightly. Now my distance here is 80 kilometers. Now my time is 40 minutes. Now if we're thinking about it, change hours to minutes. Let's see, not much room here. So hours to minutes. If you have 1 hour, how many minutes is that? 60 minutes. If you have 2 hours, it's 120. So to change hours to minutes, you multiply by 60. So to go back from minutes to hours, you divide by 60. The inverse or the opposite of it. So here 40 minutes, I'm going back to hours, divide that by 60. So you can just simply put in 40 divided by 60 or 40 over 60. That, or you could say 80 kilometers, 40 divided by 60. Both will be the same. It's probably nearly easier typing it like that. We'll show you both again. 80 over, now press your fraction, 40 over 60. We get 120 kilometers per hour. Or again, if we said fraction, 80 over 40 divided by 60, 120 kilometers per hour. And say there's a tough one. 7th example. Usain Bolt ran 100 meters in 9.58 seconds. Find speed in kilometers per hour. So speed, start off like you always do. S stands for speed. Speed is distance over time. And show your work here. That's where you'll build up your marks. Distance over time. My distance here is 100 meters. My time is 9.58 seconds. Now the problem here, I need it in kilometers. The distance in kilometers and the speed in hours. Now, I'll show you down here. This will take a bit of room. So we'll work with our distance first of all. If we're going kilometers to meters, say to myself, what's 1 kilometer equal? 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. 2 kilometers, 2,000 meters. So how do I go from kilometers to meters? I multiply by 1,000. And to go from meters to kilometers, I must divide by 1,000. Then seconds to minutes to hours. I'll keep going up here. 1 minute to seconds. 1 minute is made up of how many seconds? 60. 2 minutes, 120. So you're multiplying and going back the way, I'd be dividing by 60. If I have 60 seconds, I have 1 minute. 120 seconds, I have 2 minutes. So here, 100 meters, we'll change that to kilometers. So it's 100 divided by 1,000. And then seconds all the way to hours. So seconds to minutes first of all. So 9.58 divided by 60. And then minutes to hours, divide that by 60 again. Now you're talking. It's difficult that. 100 divided by 1,000, 9.58 divided by 60, divided by 60. Not a great looking number, but it looks proper there. So his average speed, this is the average speed, 37.58 kilometers per hour. He'll be running quicker, he'll have a higher speed somewhere throughout that race, and that's his average speed. Take into account when he starts, it takes him a wee while to get going. difficulty 1 maybe on distance, but you get the idea. It's the change in the units that makes this difficult. So say find the distance travelled at a speed, this is from slide 30. Question 2, at a speed of 90 kilometers an hour for 20 minutes. And they've asked you to find the distance. So distance is speed times time. Cover the D. Always write this down, I'm doing it myself. Now they want it and find the distance. Here we've got to just match up the units. Kilometers, hours, you've got to change this to hours. So how do you change minutes to hours? Minutes to hours you divide by 60. So I'll nearly do it now. Change minutes to hours you divide by 60. 20 divided by 60. You get a third if you put it in your calculator. 1/3. So distance is equal to speed times time. 90 kilometers per hour by the time, which is a third of an hour. And then 90 times a third is 30. I'd write the third instead of the decimal because it's a recurrent decimal. 30 kilometers. Have a go at those questions. See how you get on. And maybe include a few of these into your notes, especially that, the Usain Bolt one, very difficult. And include this thing here and this. Write it a wee bit neater. All the best.